You're watching The HoneyDew with Ryan Sickler.
Welcome to The HoneyDew with y'all. Our first episode here, but before we get into it, I want to say thank you guys for subscribing. It means the world to me. You guys have been, since the beginning of this podcast, you've been emailing me, messaging me, sending me some of the most amazing stories I've heard, and I was like, Jesus, people need to hear this stuff. So here we are where Zoom is now acceptable and everything else. I figure, what the hell, let's do a Patreon with the diehard doers out there and Night Pants Nation and hear your stories. So I appreciate your subscription. I appreciate your support. You know I mean it. And without any more BS, we're going to get into it. So our first episode here, I picked a friend of mine from back home, just in case we have any technical difficulties or anything like that. Got somebody patient. We can wait, iron it out. I want to be running smooth when we get to you, which we will. But this is a guy that some of you from back in the Crab Feast days know. You listen to the Honeydew, you know his name's Eric Snyder, and we go back to sixth grade. He's one of my best friends in the world, and it's a real pleasure to have him on here to kick this thing off with me. Ladies and gentlemen, Eric Snyder.
Oh, yeah. Let's do this thing, man.
You look great. That headset and microphone.
Okay, so you told me I need a headset. This shit is from 98, okay? And I like I said before, I think I was playing Tecmo Bowl online on 50CK dial-up last time I had this. This is the only headset I had, so this is going to have to work.
Dude, it looks like it came free with those phones. Remember those phones back in the day you just set down on a flat table? Remember? It just had the button went in at the bottom. They give it to you from like the Judy, the operator from Time would send that shit to you. It's a phone. You just set that bitch on the table. It didn't even have a receiver. You just pick that bitch up.
I think I could show up to Wendy's and be like, "Oh, you're late."
Yeah, like, where the fuck you been, man? We got a rush out here. So thank you for being on, and we have, obviously, we're not going to be able to do this all in one episode. We have a hell of a lot to talk about, but I want to start with our history. Mm-hmm. We met in sixth grade. We went to Sykesville Middle School, and we had this thing that I still think is awesome. They still do it. It's called Outdoor School, and 1 week out of the year, the school would send us by groups out to this camp called Camp HDWY, so that you learned how to survive in the woods. We learned how to, we built forts. We learned how, and we knew that we were going to be fucking around up there. So I go up and I'm rooming, bunking with my buddy at the time, who you didn't know then, Matt Schilling, and we decide that we are going to do a talent show sketch. And he and I were huge Saturday Night Live fans, and we just loved the Martin Short character, Nathan Thurm, who was this attorney that just smoked cigarettes and sweat all over his fucking face, and all he would do was deny everything. He's like, I never said that. Like, you just said that right now. He's like, I never said that. I don't know what you're talking about. And it was so funny to us. So he was Nathan Thurm. I was a character called Tyrone Ichaboo, and then Brett Pierce was a guy who just sat there with glasses on and just shook his head and smiled. I think he might have said nice or something like that. That was it. And I don't even remember what the fuck we did. We did a reenactment, our version of like an SNL Nathan Thurm sketch. And afterward, I was like, oh my God, that shit did not go well at all. We just did this stupid ass sketch, and here comes Eric Snyder. Guys, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And we've been friends ever since.
That's my boy. I got to hang out with him. That shit is funny, man. Sixth grade shit.
I couldn't believe it. I'm like, this motherfucker liked this shit. And that was it. That was the bomb.
No one else is laughing. Hey.
Nobody. They were
going to be a comedian one day.
It was terrible, dude. It was terrible. And then for a lot of you Crab Feast fans that go way back, man, this Eric Snyder is the guy, and we'll talk about it, from the Natty Bo Lee story and Profiles fight. You're the guy who drove the Camaro that Eddie Coe jumped on top of in the mental institution with me. I mean, we go way back. And
what's up, Eddie?
I want to hear, before we get into some heavier stuff and deeper stories, I would love to hear your version, the way you remember what happened. No.
Eddie Co?
No. Profiles. Natty Bo Lee.
All right. So, we grew up in Carroll County. There was not a lot to do, hang out at McDonald's and that. And we were driving around and you got to jawing with some people, this and that. And like, there's going to be a fight over behind McDonald's, this and that. And me and our boy Nelson was driving and we're supposed to fight these two dudes, whatever. I don't know. And then like, all of a sudden we kept hearing all around town about this guy.
Thank you.
They had had a Fiera or something, and right before he kicked somebody's ass, he'd take his shoes off.
Thank you. I tell the story too. Like, for whatever reason, we would just keep hearing the story. Like, you're the third person that told me about this guy taking his shoes off to beat people's ass. Like, it went around for a minute. Like, I bet you we heard it half a dozen times about this fucking guy that took his shoes off before he fought. So it's exactly right.
And you know what?
Exactly
when you're 14, 15, you hear the stories like, oh, fuck. Oh, my God, I hope I don't run into that guy. Well, fast forward a couple months, and then there he is.
So we're 15. No. We're
10th grade, 15 probably.
Yeah, we're probably 15. And the club is called Profiles. And the reason it was called Profiles was because back in the day, on a Maryland driver's license, if you were under 21, you took your picture from a profile. And that was no one had to do math or anything. That was immediately how you could tell someone was a minor or underage, excuse me. Yeah. And we all had our profile pictures because it was 21. I think it was 18 and over, but we had fake IDs and we get in. So we're in there and I'm over here in one group. You're over here in another group. We're all our little small crew, and I hear some tussling, whatever, and I walk up, and I say, oh, Eric's about to beat this guy's ass, and this dude's big. He's standing in front of you, and he's big. But you were big, too.
Oh, yeah.
You were big. He was big as shit.
I was 15.
And then what happened?
All right, so let me back up a little bit. I got to correct you a little bit, Ryan. You're usually right 100% of the time. But 99% of the time. But when you're 14, it was 14 to 20.
Oh, is that what it was?
If you're over 20, like old dudes can go hang in the bar, they weren't supposed to be there. This dude was like 23, 24 years old, and we were 15.
Oh, I thought it was so you couldn't be in there if you were over 20, so it's even worse.
No, that's why parents would be safe. Go, oh, a 14-year-old's going there. There's not going to be anyone drinking there or whatever. Of course, everyone was pre-gaming before we went in there or whatever. And whatever happened weeks before, all of a sudden he recognized me because, I'm 6'3", this huge freaking head, skinny body at that time. And he remembered me. And I just remembered these black dudes up in Westminster that I knew. They're like, yo, man, that's the dude that's been knocking people out with the shoes off. I'm like, oh my God, that guy wants to fight me. Ryan goes, that's him. I swear to God, that's him. So I'm like, well, shit, I gotta get out of here. Well, I went on the dance floor and all of a sudden there's like this circle around us. And like, the whole fight or flight thing, I couldn't flight, whatever. Next thing you know, I just remember
he slipped those motherfucking houses.
He took their shoes off and he did that. He did that double Ralph Macchio, whatever.
To do that crane technique.
As soon as he hit, he slipped. I'm like
on that dance floor and hit the ground.
Now he's embarrassed.
You look back at me and I said, "Get him!" Oh, it was a fucking meleeing.
I knew he was going to be embarrassed and going to kick my ass even worse. So I'm like, well, there we go.
This is it, bro. This is it.
Yeah.
I'm fighting over here. You're fighting right there. You got stabbed. Did you get stabbed in the hand, arm, something? You got stabbed.
No, that's funny because that was a different fight. But that was it was the Profiles opened another place somewhere else, and then someone rented it out for a party.
So it's Profiles related.
We came back. We came back from college, and we got in a big old brew.
So I remember chairs flying. I remember people coming down the stairs. It was a fucking monster fight. It was a monster fight. That was a good one. And the fans have nicknamed it because we have no idea what that dude's nickname is or name is. So they all call him Natty Bo Lee because he was like Bruce Lee. He slipped those shoes off, and I just remember my eyes were like cartoon eyes, like like, holy shit, it's it.
I'm 15. I'm scared.
But also, it's so weird because if just a 23-year-old did that to you when you were 15, you'd be scared. But we have been hearing about this legend of this guy slipping his shoes off to whip some ass. It was so weird that and then boom, here he comes. Like, what the fuck? But you fucked that dude up. You fucked that dude up. You did what we needed to do. And the
crazy thing is, that summer, you and I don't remember this, are with Nelson again. We're at the carnival somewhere. And here this motherfucker's with his wife pushing a baby carriage. They look at me like, I got you.
I got you.
Yeah, it was at Winfield or Gamber. Like, yeah. I'm like, that's that dude. He's got a baby carriage.
Oh, my God. I couldn't get over that. So, I mean, there's a million stories we could tell. We'll get into those, too. But also, like, you know, you were there when my father died. You were so supportive. And then you were there when my grandmother died right after that. Supportive. Your mom,
Carrie.
Yep.
Oh, Carrie.
Your mom let me live in your place for a little. I was homeless. Your mom let me stay there. And that was, unfortunately, I just said this to you recently. That was when at your place one night, you weren't even there that night. I think you guys were still out or something. I just had gone back and I was laying down. It must have been fate that I did that, because your mom woke me up because she got the call, and that was when Kelly had Shannon's sister had the car accident. I was at your house when I heard that news.
Yeah, it was.
You guys, you've been there a long time, man. So I love you, and I'm glad you're doing this with me. So let's start with your story now. We'll get back into some more of our shit because we have plenty. But you were born Philly originally, right?
Just outside Philly. My whole family. Other than my grandma's side, she came over from England because my great grandfather fought in World War I, but her husband, their whole family's from Philadelphia. So yeah, Philadelphia.
And then you've had some. I mean, I just remember your mom telling us stories at the kitchen table when we would eat Scrapple. I saw you recently eating Scrapple. Some people don't even know what the fuck Scrapple is. I'm like, it's everything. It's everything after the hot dog. That's what Scrapple is.
Hey, if you come to my house, you're eating a pig's asshole for breakfast.
It's good.
That's just the rules. So it's the rules. I make it nice and crispy, nice and thin. You're not going to die from it. But Scrapple, that's what you fucking do, man. It's Philadelphia. That's what you do.
Bones in it and everything else.
Oh, it's got all kinds. I don't even know half the shit in there.
So, what happened to your grandfather? I remember your mom telling us some stories. What happened to you? Now, and your grandfather? Is this your mom?
Her mom.
This is her dad?
Yeah, so my mom had it kind of rough. I mean, and my grandma too, but my grandfather was in Philadelphia at a bar and was murdered. I mean, what I was going to say, it was at a bar.
How did it happen?
Well, I did the family tree thing, and my mom always had different stories, but I actually went back and archived the old, like, Delaware County Times and this and that. And the witness said that these two men were in a car and they started fighting inside the car. And then my grandfather got out and then he continued fighting. And apparently either my grandfather got knocked unconscious or whatever, but she called the police, but they went over there and he was gone. His car was still there. And like the next morning, some guy comes out and sees these legs underneath the car. It not knowing it, just ran over him and drug him. I think it was 2 miles.
Jesus.
Get to the house. Yeah.
Holy shit. And then I remember her telling us a story about your uncle, which was her brother, right?
Her brother, yeah. He was decapitated on a motorcycle accident.
Jesus Christ. This is the kind of shit we're hearing over Scrapple.
Yeah. And then my grandmother, her sister, my mom's aunt, died in a house fire.
For real? God damn.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, like, we lived to be forever. I mean, like, I did my family tree, and like, my great grandfather, I don't know how many times removed, came over with William Penn to Philadelphia. He lived to be 104 fucking years old in the 1700s.
Damn.
They all died from unnatural.
That's like
causes.
1,000. That's like a vampire back then.
They died from alcohol.
So what? What was So then you guys, around 8 or 9, you say you moved to Maryland. We didn't meet long after that. Yeah. But what was the history of the house I just loved that you owned? Was it Napoleon's brother? Someone
yeah. And in 21784, yeah. It was house was built in the 1700s. And it is actually owned originally 1,100 acres. So basically, it was all of the 21784 or whatever. But Napoleon Bonaparte's brother, Jerome,
is that his real name?
Jerome, yeah, man.
I wish we could throw out false history. Jerome Bonaparte.
Jerome Bonaparte. Look it up.
Jerome
Google
Bonaparte live here.
Hey, like Crab Feast. Jerome Bonaparte. Welcome to the Crab Feast. No, so he married. I forgot her last name from Maryland, and through Sykesville, and he had stayed there, and then Napoleon made them annul the marriage because of the religious thing, whatever. So they annulled it.
Yeah, your house was fucking. Your house. You always said it was haunted. I've told stories about it. I'm like, whatever.
I know it was haunted.
It was.
No.
There was a night when I remember we sat in that dining room with all the lights off and the fucking chandelier started rattling stuff, and I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here, this place. Your mom used to tell me she'd see a family of ghosts go down the stairs. She told me.
Yeah, well, my wife and her sister were staying there one time. They both looked at each other going, "Did you see what I saw?" They both saw the same thing. Just this woman walking across, just like a mist. Yeah, dude.
You did. That was an old house, man. That wouldn't scare me all the time.
It was an old plantation house, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we meet. We're friends. We meet in 6th grade. We go through, Little League, everything together. We get to 9th, 10th grade. You were there. You were there in the showers when I told the story with Segura. You hit me up about that. It is ridiculous to this day.
Oh, Marlo.
Dude, Marlo Woodyard had an adult dick when we were like 9. A big adult dick.
I felt like I should have paid. It was like I seriously thought it was Ripley's Believe It or Not, where I should have paid some money.
I'm like, dude, he's had a prosthetic on your dick in 7th grade right now, because if not, your knees are gonna be sore, bro.
And the funny thing is, he used to run to the shower covered it like he was embarrassed of it. I'm like, what are you embarrassed of? Look at that guy over there.
If you made kids today, if you made them get naked and shower with each other, no way. The school be shut down. The school be shut down.
We had to.
We did.
Which, there is no worse age than 6th and 7th grade to go out there, because puberty, some guys have full ball throws.
Some guys have adult dicks, apparently. You know?
Yeah. Like, they're all insecure. You know what we're going to do? We're going to throw them in the showers. They can all laugh at each other for like the next 5 or 6 years.
This will build their self-confidence up. Jesus Christ, dude.
Some kids got ruined in that shower.
Oh, man. They did, no doubt. We're still talking about it. We still remember it.
Oh, my God.
But then I was the only soccer guy that really hung out with the football guys at all. Like, I was the only one that did. And I was the only one that would fight. No, that's not true. George Wilk and my brother fought a lot. And the Regals fought, too.
Yeah.
But we got to wrestle together, which was some of the best times I ever had. And I've told this story. This is a great HoneyDew story right here. So we had gone to a wrestling tournament where it was one of these like tri-county tournaments or whatever, and this guy, if you remember, had taken X-Lax and shit himself all over the mat, and they had to stop the matches and fucking mop it and bleach it and everything, and that stuck in our heads the same way Mark Woodyard's dick did. This stuck in our heads, and we were like, we don't ever want to be that fucking guy. But then you decided you wanted to cut a little weight, so you took X-Lax, and go ahead and pick up from there, please.
Oh, you remember football season was the fall, then right back to back was wrestling season. So you always wanted to go down a weight, you know. And I don't know. I just had to have a cheesesteak, and I'm like, shit, I'm not gonna make weight. So I went to the 7-Eleven right there on Liberty Road and got X-Lax, and they come in like chocolate bars, whatever. Mm-hmm. Well, I wasn't the brightest guy, so I bring it there. It's like, take 2. Well, it came in rows.
Yes,
they're like little sections of these strips, and then they had little pieces off of that. I took 2 strips. About 3-4 o'clock in the morning, boy. I mean, I was pissing out of my asshole.
The night before, not just one match, a tournament, a whole tournament.
Yes.
Shit, I'll never forget.
I made weight by 5 pounds. I mean, I was way under.
Made weight. So good.
Yeah, I was like 8 pounds over. I've been selling for 13 pounds.
We're having it at our school. And I remember you run down to the locker room, and there was one shitter that didn't even have a door on it, and you were in there, and you were just going, Ryan. And you lived maybe a mile and a half, 2 miles from the school. You're like, call Andy. That's your brother. Tell him to bring me some underpants. I mean, you just couldn't stop shitting yourself.
Oh.
So tell him what happened.
The coach came down. He's like, "Oh my God, you're not a team player. You're irresponsible." He was feeding me cheese. I guess cheese was supposed to make it better, which it didn't actually. And I just remember I was out there wrestling. Intolerant. Oh, dude, I remember I was winning.
You were killing me.
I was going to tech fall. I would have tech falled him, so I was winning like 11 to nothing. I think it's 15 points to tech fall back then. 11 to nothing. And all of a sudden, I'm like, I heard a little gurgle, and I'm like, oh no, I can't do this, dude. There's like 1,000 people in the stand.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I just when you shard a little bit, prairie dog comes out just a little bit. I'm like, fuck. I roll over, put the guy on top of me.
You did. You really did.
Fucking ref goes down. Oh, I don't even shake his hand.
You got
right to the bathroom.
You got
right to the bathroom.
And here's the pitch. The part that's my favorite part is not only did we lose that match, we lost a point for unsportsmanlike conduct because you ran off the mat to show you wouldn't shit.
I'm shitting down there in the stall with no door on it. My coach is going, "You're not a team player."
11, that kid couldn't believe you just rolled over.
I'm going, oh, fuck, coach, hold on. God. I remember that. Oh my God. Oh yeah, good old days.
There's so many good ones. I remember being in driver's ed, and we would go out in the car because you had driver's ed in high school back then, and we would go out in the car with Ted Burnett, and I would have to drive with my brother because we're twins. They make us go with somebody else. And we had a birthday in March. Yours was in January. I was just telling Derek this when we were doing this learner's permit thing. My stepson Derek, and I go, my buddy Eric Snyder had his license 2 months before anybody else did because he had a January birthday. And this motherfucker, we tell him, hey, we're going out with Ted Burnett today driving. And you take that old Caprice Classic station wagon.
Oh,
and I mean, fly up alongside us, cut us off, hit the brakes. We'd be like, come on, Snyder, you dick. And Ted Burnett be like, guys. He's a hillbilly from Tennessee. Be like, this is great.
He's smoking a pipe.
Yep. He's like, you got assholes out there like this. This is perfect. This is what you want. Let Eric Snyder do. He's tailgating this hot flash. He's like, this is good. This is good. He's an asshole.
I'm brake checking you.
Brake checking the driver's ed card.
Trying to get his license. The big old station wagon. Shit. Hey, don't make fun of my station wagon now. I had the full-size station wagon. You had the mini station wagon, Aspen.
We had the Aspen limited edition, bro. But my favorite... Go ahead.
I said the wood paneling.
Yeah, wood panel, tinted windows, all of it. But my favorite moment... There's so many stories. Like I said, we're not going to be able to do this in one episode, but... Like I said, I was the only soccer dude to hung out with you football guys, and you guys would wrap football about a half hour before we'd wrap soccer. So you'd come by right around, by the time you were done and got in the car, you'd be coming by our practice, and every day you would gun that motherfucker, and then you would punch the brakes and skid for like it looked like 100 yards.
It had to be at least 100 feet. Like I don't know 100 yards.
No, I'm saying from where we were, it looked like you just keep going. But the hilarious part was you would see the nose of the car dip down, you'd stop, you'd start going, and then we were so far away, then we'd hear the fucking and we'd laugh so hard, like, here he goes. And our coach got so he comes over to me because he knew I hung out with all you guys. He goes, who is that? I go, that's Eric Snyder. He goes, all right. And he never goes there, and you would hit those fucking, as soon as we heard, he'd be like, line up. That was our lineup for gassers and sprints. I'm like, God damn it, Snyder. I'd look over and like, here he comes. I'd just start walking to the end line when I'd see your car come down the road. I'd just see him. I'd be standing
on the long ass stretch, boy. I'd have that V8. So I'd have that V8 all the way out, boy, and then them brakes. I got my grandma's walker in the back. Sliding in the back.
Look, I've told people, they've said we used to do dips on your grandma's walker. Remember we'd use it to work out and do dips on it?
I just take her around.
Actually, right now, if you want some good quarantine exercise at home, get somebody's walker and do some motherfucking dips. Seriously. Yeah. All right. Absolutely. So we'll come back. We'll talk about it a little bit. But you were the guy that drove with me to California my first time. But we'll come back and talk about that. But my second time, I came out. I got here Valentine's Day, 1997, and it wasn't long after I'd been here that I got a horrible phone call, and it was your wife, Heather, called me, and I said, "This better not be more bad news," because we had just had, I mean, Jesus Christ, we just had about 4 or 5 years of so many close people dying, and tragically,
and it was in the summer too. Yeah,
it was. What month?
Matter of fact, it was almost a year to the date of Shannon's sister.
It was August
8th, which is hers was the 7th, I think.
Tell us what happened.
So I had younger brothers. We were all exactly 2 years apart almost, and he had joined the Marines out of high school. So my older brother was a cerebral kid, and he got in his masters and this and that. And me, I went and played. But didn't
Andy also do National Guard? Didn't he do Guard? Something.
Yeah. He was a National. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'm the only one in my family
in the
generation that didn't serve military. But I got a football scholarship and played football anyway. So he joined the Marines and he loved it. And then after 4 years, they gave him some extra money to reenlist, and he reenlisted. Came back here and met some older woman. So I guess back then he was 21, she was 30, which is. Yeah, it's different, whatever. And
that's a different way.
So,
she had kids too, didn't she?
Yeah. And
I mean, I remember.
Jamie really never.
Yeah, your brother's name is Jamie, and I remember the advice you gave him, and we were only a couple years older than him. What were we, 23? Mm-hmm. And you were like, "Look, man, this lady isn't that much older than you, but she's already lived her, like, you haven't even lived your first life. This lady had been married or at least had children with someone, and like she's in a different place than you are." And I remember you saying, like, just be careful, try not to get wrapped up in that.
Yeah. So anyway, he fell in love with her or whatever. And then he reenlisted. So he proposed to her. She said yes. So he had to go spend a year in Fiji, Japan, where whatever unit he was in, he was training with the Navy SEALs and the Recon Unit Marines or something like that. I don't know, but he was out there for a year. And he started calling her, and she's not answering the phone. Back then, we didn't have I had cell phone because, I worked in bail bonds for 20 years, so I always had a cell phone. Even I had a big briefcase cell phone,
Yeah.
And so he would call me at Fred's place where I first worked, But Japan hours were weird, so I always worked late. So he'd call me, and he's like, "I'm trying to call her. She's not answering." Fast forward anyway. So he calls up there one day, and a dude answers. And he's like, "Yeah, is Amy there?" There's a lot of Amy, so I don't know if anyone. And he's like, "Oh, is this Jamie?" He says, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, Jamie, I'm fucking her now." I hung up.
Whoa.
So it drove him freaking nuts. And, he got real depressed. We could tell. My parents actually reached out to the Marines.
I remember that. I feel like I remember you telling me about your dad reaching out and saying, like, "Look, I know my son. He's not himself right now. Let him come home, pack up his shit, get out of the situation, and he'll come right back." And I think he told me, your dad told me this, as a matter of fact, because I had dinner with him out here in, remember when he came out? Yeah. And like, I want to say Long Beach or something. He took me out. And
he traveled out there a lot.
Yeah. And they gave him your son's a Marine, the whole, like, he'll get through this. We'll work through it. Don't worry about it. And he's like, "No, I'm really, really concerned."
Yep. And he called me one last time. He just sounded exhausted. And next thing I know, 8 Marines show up to the house.
This is how you found out?
I found out from a neighbor called and said, "Look, these Marines have been sitting out in front of your house for like 8 hours." Because they have to stay there to notify the family. And my dad wasn't there. And then I drove up there. And then...
Oh, no one was home, so they were just sitting there?
Yeah, and my mom called me and said that he was no longer alive.
Oh.
Committed suicide.
8 Marines.
Well, that's what they had. They have to show up in their little van thing, whatever.
So
they were there all day.
Your mom got that
Mom found out first
in person.
from a phone call.
Oh, from a phone call. Who talked to the Marines? Who was at the house that they told?
My dad. My dad worked in Columbia, so he drove home and got there. Then
are you comfortable talking about what happened?
Yeah, I mean, he hung himself. I mean, it's
But what I remember, tell me, and again, you're right. I'm close to right a lot, but I think
he's never wrong. Even when he's wrong, you cannot argue with Ryan Sickler. No way.
You, my grandmother, and my father always told me I should have been an attorney. That's what they should have been. You know what? I'd probably be working right now. I wouldn't be fucking doing the goddamn HoneyDew with y'all, but I'd rather be. So
hey, fuck Johnny Cochran. OJ be president if you were representing him. Ryan does not lose an argument. I'm telling you, he can't. He refuses. He refuses.
But I remember, I want to say it was he might have been late to something, which was not his style at all, and a friend of his had gone up to see if he was okay, and when he went up, he found him.
His bunkmates.
Oh, it was his bunkmate.
Or whatever, the roommates next door or whatever.
And he hung himself.
Which I felt bad for it. I mean, I felt bad for him. Who the hell wants to walk in on that?
Yeah, right. And you loved the guy. And looks like sheets?
Belt.
A belt. See, I never knew. Mm-hmm. And the thing that's always bothered me, and I've said this to you once before, but it has always bothered me that you told me about the marks on his neck. Like he had obviously had second thoughts and tried to get the belt.
Well, I read the report. Well, he struggled, so he was kicking over like the lamp and the curtain. So at some point he had second thoughts, but unfortunately, yeah.
I miss him, man. I wish we could. I had so much fun hanging out with him.
Yeah, he was cool. He was
a
real
great
cool.
drummer. He was a good kid, man.
But and like even during this time now with like this COVID stuff, like I understand that we got to be social responsible to this and that, but there's a lot of people that are depressed that are home. That I'm afraid the suicide rate's going to go up, man.
It's definitely going to go up. They're already talking about it. There are certainly people that are, in a bad place and can't get the help they need, and it's tough.
I heard one thing one time, and someone said it's like every once in a while, just go up and wave to somebody, say hi, because you don't know what kind of day they're having. I mean, that could change the course of time. Just saying, oh my God. So whatever. So anyway,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So and with military, especially, I mean, it's not like he suffered from trauma from because at that time they weren't in any wars, he was just training. But that kind of shit happens a lot, man. They don't get the support that they need to get. Yeah. So
a lot of them have PTSD. Oh, I did the therapy, the EMDR therapy that was originally created to help soldiers with PTSD coming back from war and stuff. And it's life changing. I fucking hate that. I'm glad you talked about it though. I appreciate you talking about it. I mean, that was.
Hey, look, if it can, like, if there's somebody that's, I would say, if there's someone that's just either went through it or if someone's depressed or something like that. I mean, it's if you don't talk about shit like that, then it gets pushed under the rug, and then no one talks about it.
Look, I believe it manifests itself in things like, seriously, like cancer. You're holding that poison in your body the whole fucking time. You never get it out. You never release it. You never deal with it. It's not good for you. And I heard that wasn't long after I got here the second time, but the first time I came to California, you and a few friends threw me.
No, I threw that
party.
Me a
going away party. And as you do, about halfway in, you were probably, I don't know, you've always been able to hold your beers, but you were like, fuck it, I'm going with you. And I was leaving like the next day. And I was like, well, if you're going with me, then I was leaving the next day. If you're going with me, whatever. So I went back to.
No, you left at night. You left at night from the party. We ended up in anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm leaving, and you're wasted, so I tell everybody, put his ass in the car with me. And that was my 1990 Honda Civic with original rims. I had my whole life fit in the back of that fucking car.
All in trash bags.
All trash bags. And we went to your place first very quickly. You were still drunk. You grabbed I think it was like one pair of underwear. We're about to drive across the country. And you're starting school at Frostburg, and you're definitely you're not gonna make the start of college. And you get like one pair of underwear, and you go in the house. I'm expecting you to be in there like 15 minutes. You come right. It was like the door shut, and you came right back out. I'm like, that's how you packed across the country. Like, yeah, let's go. And I was like, man, I selfishly wanted the company, and you sat in that seat, and you passed out and slept. And when you woke up, you said, "Where are we?" I said, "We're just west of Pittsburgh." You said, "What the fuck?" I said, "We're not far from Indiana." You're like, "God damn it.
What the fuck happened?"
I gotta call my dad.
Here's the worst. The worst part is I had my wisdom teeth out, and the next day I was supposed to get my stitches taken out.
That's right. And we drove remember they just popped in your mouth. They just
my teeth were killing me. We stopped and got aspirin.
Oh, shit. That's the thing that kills me. So you're also, so you leave, and then you call your parents, and then finally they're cool. They're good parents. They're like, well, you should have took the video camera. Like, damn, we thought they'd have been mad if we took it. We should have took it. But
yeah, because I called my dad, and I said, hey, Dad. He's like, yeah. I'm like, hey, I'm in Ohio. He's like, what are you doing in Ohio? You're supposed to
went out the
wisdom teeth stitches out, and you're supposed to go to school. And I said, I don't know. I was just, threw Ryan a going away party and had a little too many, and you know how it is. He's like, no, I don't know how it is. I'm like, well, I decided to ride out with him. He goes, if you spend one fucking dollar of that $1,100 I gave you for school books, I swear to fucking God, I'm going to kill you. And lo and behold, by the time we got out all the way out to L.A., he flew me back home.
He did. He flew you back. But we had a hell of a trip. I still, I mean, this is so vivid in my memory. We get into Ohio when you finally woke the fuck up, and it's the only time in my life I've ever had to scrape ice off the inside of the windshield. Do you remember how bad that They were suggesting people stop and pull over at the shopping malls, and we're like, nah, we're gonna barrel right. We got a front wheel drive Civic. We're gonna barrel right through this bit.
My big ass in the front seat, like, Jesus Christ.
We get to Indianapolis, where we stay with Libby and Kim, hang out with them, and then we hit the road again. And at this point, we've gotten a Smokey and the Bandit cassette for the soundtrack. And I had
we got to back up. Hey,
go ahead.
I got to cut you off here. We got to back up a little bit here. So we're back in Indiana, and I just found out my girlfriend is pregnant.
Oh yeah, that's where I was going. Thank you. That's where I was going, because the shit you had to go through.
In Indiana, she had to take my phlebotomist or whatever.
So you had to get blood or whatever, and Kim works at the doctor's office, and she's like, I'll just do it for you while you're here, no problem. So Heather's like, okay, we're putting out fires. Like, you got to do this. Okay, we got it done. But you don't like needles, and the visual is the best because you're in it's a pediatrician's office you're in, and there's a goddamn
I'm in there. There's
on the wall.
Little kids playing the little games down there.
There's a Goofy on the wall with like 40 balloons, and you're just sitting against it. And Kim's relatively new at taking blood, and she swings.
Relatively new. Holy
you might have been the first patient.
I looked like a junkie by the time I left there, dude.
She hit you like 3 times on the right, dude. You were so far slumped down. You were looking at. I was pissing myself. Like, if children who were scared of needles saw this shit going down, they'd never fucking get another.
Oh my God!
And then she had to call somebody in to do the other arm to get it done.
I had so many holes in my arm.
Oh shit, you did, man. I was like, this is Kim. Just hit the fucking vein for Christ's sake. And then
remember that.
We get the cassette. I had a harmonica at the time, and you were always good with music, though. I remember you just sat down at your piano. You had a really nice piano in your home when you went in, and you nailed November Rain right away. You got that, and you took that harmonica, and instead of it driving me crazy, which it would have if you didn't get it, but you learned how to play Eastbound and Down on that goddamn harmonica by the time we hit like Arizona, and then it was good because then you can play the whole thing with me the whole.
It was
so loud in my fucking ear. We're doing 90, 100 miles an hour in a Honda Civic, dude.
fucking lips are dry. Like I got no spit left.
Here's the thing that you bring up to me a lot. And this makes me laugh because I can't believe I got it either. But we played Hangman. We're going 90 miles an hour. We're playing Hangman in the car.
Oh, we didn't have electronics, so you had to make your games up. Yeah.
And I always my method of Hangman is my vowels first, A-E-I-O-U, and I got the A, which was the second letter in the first word, and then I got the E, which was the second to last letter in the second word. That's all I had. And I looked at you and I said, Bart Furley. And it was fucking right.
There's no fucking way.
He was like a side character.
It's not even Ralph Furley from Three's Company. It's his brother that made 2 appearances. That was the building.
But he was scared in elevators. Remember, he was then he got it fixed.
That was when I was like, what? Dude, there's no way, dude. Like David Blaine in there.
Bart Furley, bro. I just looked at you and said Bart Furley. I thought you were like, you're cheating. I'm like, how the fuck could I possibly cheat? How could I possibly?
You need about 70% of your fan base to Google Bart Furley.
Bart Furley.
Bart Furley.
Ralph Furley's brother, who I wonder how many appearances he really made. I just remember that. It was not many. And then we got to Vegas.
Oh my gosh.
I had my camera stolen, and you stepped off the slot machine that hit the jackpot right after you walked away from the fucking thing.
Story of my life.
We get to California. You're here for just a handful of hours. Take you to LAX, and you fly back. And then all is well because they were because you were here during. I mean, it was the Northridge quake. You were in town when the whole city was fucked up,
dude. I missed a whole week of school, and then I went back there and I said, I couldn't make it because I was in the earthquake.
Yeah, you told him you were in it. That's right. You told him you were in it.
The professors are like, oh, my Lord. Tell us about it. I'm like, well, it sounded like a freight train.
Even everything I was telling you, too.
Every cliche analogy that you
what
can use
happened
on
this
earthquake,
week? I'm like, tell him this.
Like, I didn't get, that was the worst stolen dollar I've ever had.
So another story I want to talk about because your life progresses, and then you give me a call. You called
progress
me on
or
this
regress?
One. Well, yeah, it might be regret.
Let's go.
I get a phone call, and you're like, "You're not gonna believe this," and I'm like, "Please, just don't tell me anybody else is dead or anything."
No one else died.
And you're like, "Guess," and I'm like, "You and Heather are pregnant again." You're like, "No," and I'm doing no, and I'm never gonna guess. I'm never gonna guess what you told me. Nope. And then you told me that your dad came out of the closet. At what age?
Not the closet. Like, he wasn't putting, like, hangers up and shit like that closet. No. The closet.
Yeah.
I mean, the fucking closet, you know?
The man.
I mean,
well, how old was he?
I don't know where it came. Huh?
How old was your dad when he admitted being gay?
I don't know how old he was. I was probably.
Yeah, how old were you?
I had my company, so I was probably 28 or 29 at the time.
So, I just remember. What would that make your dad? How old your dad? How old your
dad now?
Is that about right? Our age? That's late.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. Well.
So I want to tell you what I remember, so you can tell us the whole story, but. The story I remember you telling me was like, I know your mom always kept an immaculate home. The place was always clean. I feel like there was this one piece of trash in the trash can, and she picked it up, and it was like a note or something, which I think she thought was a mistress, someone he was being unfaithful with. But
Mr.
Yeah, exactly. And no one ever thought of it being a man.
I was hoping it was a mistress, but that was a mister.
3 kids, married how long to your mom?
Oh, Christ. 20-some years, I guess, yeah.
But let's give your wife credit where credit is due, because your wife used to say Eric. Your dad wears polo shirts with the collar flipped up. He listens to Cher, and he vacations.
So did Don Johnson. And that was a man of all men.
He wasn't vacationing down in Key West. Don Johnson.
All right.
He went to Miami. Your dad said, "I'm gonna go." A little
Hindsight's 2020 now, but I mean, come on.
Heather called it though. She used to say it, and we'd all be like, "Heather, what the fuck are you talking about?" And Heather knew. Heather was right.
Oh, he.
So how did you find out? Did he tell me the story? Because I don't know if he talked to you or what. All I know is you called me and said my dad told me he's gay.
I think about a week before or 2 weeks before I found out, my brother went out and visited. He lived in Arizona at the time, and he's like, "Hey man, I don't know what's going on, but Dad's got a picture of some dude up over his mantle." I'm like,
so sorry. I know your dad. That's why.
Like, who puts
over his mantle? He's in love
picture of a dude, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe it was there before he rented it. I mean, I don't know. Because it can't be what I'm thinking right now.
Dad's married to mom for 20-some years. He cheats on her with women, for God's sake. He can't be gay.
And look, you had three of the most manliest, like, I mean, sports and fishing and fighting and just whatever, like, probably dropping the F word around all the time. It ends in a G,
Mm-hmm. Back in the day, I do know that word.
Yeah.
God, yeah, think about that.
Yeah. So, and I'm like, nah, there's no way. So then I get a phone call and he's like, "Hey, man." I'm like, "Hey, Dad, what's going on?" He goes, "We need to meet." I said, "Okay. We're going to go." Went up to Westminster, the bar right there, whatever it's called.
Now, before you tell me what he's about to say, why do you think was he feeling the pressure to tell you because Andy had come back? Why? What's the timing between the time Andy tells you there's a guy on his mantle?
Maybe he was just like, look, that's not even fucking funny, man.
Hang on, Andy. You say there's a picture of Mickey Mantle? Nah.
A guy on the mantle like this.
A guy on the mantle.
Yeah, Andy's like, I don't know what that is. So,
great.
Yeah, I mean, that's weird. If you walk into any guy's place, hey, I don't judge.
You don't, and you've been nothing but loving and accepting your father. But I want people to understand that if you've known your dad for fucking almost 30 years, who's got 3 kids, he's married your wife, you're like, "Oh, my dad even cheated on," I mean, your mom. Yeah. My dad even cheated on my mom with women. And then for this to hit, you're like, you're just blindsided. It's like confetti just fucking shot all over your face.
I swear to freaking God, when he called me up and we had to meet, I'm like, because he's a heavy smoker, I said, he's got cancer. That's what it is. He's got cancer. So we're sitting there, and all of a sudden, and then, he's drinking his Manhattans. He always drank the Manhattan.
Yeah, with his legs crossed.
And we're sitting there. He's like,
what did he smoke? What did he smoke, by the way? What was his cigarettes?
Oh, Christ.
Your mom was 100s. Your mom was like Benson and Hedges, I want to say.
Yeah, well, yeah. And we're sitting there, and he's like, "I got to tell you something." I'm like, "All right, it's just cancer. It's just cancer." He's like, "It's just cancer." He's like, I said, "It's all right, Dad." He's like, "I'm gay." I'm like, "What?" "No, you have cancer."
You told him he's got cancer?
He's like, "No, I don't have cancer." "Oh, you what? You're what? You're what?" "Oh, yeah." And after a while, I was like, "You know what? What the fuck am I going to do?"
Yeah, who cares?
I just started drinking more. A lot more. By the time I'm like, "Hey, that's my gay dad, everyone!" Hey! Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, good for him, though, for sitting you down in person and fucking telling you and not calling you or some bullshit. I think that's pretty fucking respectable to do that. That could that could not have been easy. Because I got to say, of your 3 brothers, and you're right, you guys are all athletes, whatever, you're definitely the dudiest of the dudes of your brothers, I feel like. So to tell you, I bet he was probably more nervous to tell you than anybody.
Man, maybe so. I don't know. Just maybe, or after my brother died, maybe he just felt compelled to
live a lie. I don't know. Fuck it. I don't want to live a lie anymore. Whatever.
I mean, but you got to think about this, though. How do you feel being a kid that was born, well, the conception, the dad's probably going, "Oh God, I gotta do it! Oh, I gotta do this." You were created out of disgust and just I do not want to do this.
That's not created out of disgust.
Like,
that to be a tagline, bro.
Let me just cover your face. All right, you're a man. You're a man.
Oh shit, that is terrible. So a story that really this. I mean, look, this would test anybody, but this one is going back to your dad, because I was always scared. I remember when you told me, and I was like, "There's no way I'm not going to take a shot." I don't know if you remember this. On the phone call, you were like, "Ryan, you're probably going to make jokes and everything else, but my dad's gay." And I was like, "That's why he tried to suck my dick that night." I spent the night. He was like, "God damn it, Ryan, fuck you." I said, "Oh, fuck you, Eric. If I told you my dad was gay and you didn't take a shot at me, I wouldn't have respected you."
Oh my God. Well, you know what? I will say.
You told me
I will say this though, like after a while, I'm just like, fuck it. What am I gonna do? Like,
what are you gonna do? Who cares? You can't do it.
Well, my thing is this: it's like I don't go to my mom, who's 70-some years old, and go, "Oh, I wonder what her sex life is."
Right? Ever?
I don't think about it at all. No. But I would, like, we'd go out. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that. So after a while, I tried to make it easy on my dad because I know he felt awkward, and all of a sudden I look over there and I go, "Dad, look at the tits on her." I said, "I'm just kidding."
I'm just kidding.
I know you hate them. They're disgusting.
Hey, tell me the story about how you were with him at the gay bar and did karaoke.
That's right. I did Over the Rainbow, the gayest song in the history of gay songs. And
I think it's the
I was in a
national
gay
anthem.
bar. It was down Rehoboth Beach, which
Your dad was with you,
together,
right?
Key West, Rehoboth Beach. I mean,
drives a rainbow van. I'm just in denial.
I don't know. I'd seen that. I was a bail bondsman for 20 years. I figured shit out.
Yeah, for real, you did.
That's all good. My dad's
your dad's the best.
He's a very good grandfather.
Yeah, hell yeah. He was a good father too. He was, man. He was always nice to me. Always treated me respectfully. And I used to love to hit home runs because he'd give an extra squeeze on the ass when I'd round third. You know. But wait,
sorry, Ryan.
I want to tell this story here. So,
oh boy,
I don't remember what year my brother got married. I don't know. It's 2000, early 2000, somewhere in that pocket. And you, of course, you're invited, and you're like, the wedding's in Wisconsin,
Chicago.
right by Milwaukee.
Chicago, yeah.
And we're all in Milwaukee, and we invited you, and you're like, all right, well, my dad moved to Chicago. He lives in Chicago now. I'm going to visit him, and then we're going to come up to the wedding. And we're like, well, I'll tell you what, there's about a dozen of us coming down from Milwaukee. It's only an hour drive, something like that. We're going to party in Chicago. So we'll come out after you meet your dad, come out and hang out with us at the bars. So we might got there maybe, half hour ahead of you or whatever. And you come in and you just got that fucking that Snyder grimace on your fucking face, and Heather's got that shit-eating grin on her face, like I've been telling you all for years. And she sits down, and I go, we'll hug, hello, whatever, and I'm like, "What's the matter?" And you go, "Just met my dad's new boyfriend." And I go, "What's the matter?" And Heather goes, "He's our age."
Oh, Christ, just knock that side off. My Festivus Maximus.
Yeah, I love it. So anyway,
this is fun, man. This is fun.
I'm glad you are doing this, dude. So your dad at the time is dating. I mean, God, this is, even if it's, I mean, what are we? We're probably 30 couple, something like that, or 30, right around 30.
Around there.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah.
Dude, that shit made me laugh so fucking hard. I was like, oh God, you've been. It's just, yeah. That's a test. I don't care. That's
Mama.
Go ahead.
Call her Mama Tim. Call her Mama Tim.
Was Mama Tim?
I think he might have been a year younger than me.
Jesus Christ, that's tough. I mean, right now, if you were single, how old's your oldest daughter? How old's Devin now? 25? 4?
20. She's going to be 26 in a couple days here.
Could you imagine if you came home and introduced your 26-year-old daughter to your 26-year-old girlfriend? That would be fucked up.
Hey! But been a lot easier when I had to deal with on Mama Tim.
Mama Tim. Dude, was Tim?
Yeah, his name was Tim. I called him Mama Tim.
Was Tim the guy on the mantle?
He was the guy on the mantle, yes. Because
all right.
He was the guy on the mantle, and he was the gayer of the gays, I think.
How can you say that?
So that's where he got Mama Tim from, because, I could call my dad Mama Dad.
All right, so we hang out all night. We're having a good time. And the shit that made me laugh so hard is how much, seriously though, at the time, you've lost some weight, man. What were you weighing at that time? Do you remember?
I was a little lighter, probably 303 pounds.
And we go out into the streets of Chicago, and you and your wife leave, and you get in a pedicab. And this motherfucker, I will never forget, he had to stand.
Rickshaw, yeah.
Well, he had to stand up to get started. And you're eating pizza in the back, just making this.
He charged me. I swear to fucking God, he charged me double.
He probably did. It was
no lie. You want to see a real discrimination in Chicago? It's fat people that take rickshaws. Yep. I got to pay double.
Yep. He said, yep.
Where's the science in that?
Oh, my God. Well, there's two stories.
He's got to pedal a little harder.
He had to stand up. He was standing. Remember, he stood like, we were all tired. It took him a good 10 cranks to get you all.
He had to stand up, and it's flat.
He stood up hard as shit. He's like hot as shit. Eating pizza.
Chicago's got great pizza.
They do. There are two stories I want to tell before we wrap this up here. They're very appropriate. One of them appropriate because it involves comedy indirectly. So I was fortunate enough to do a couple stories on This Is Not Happening on Comedy Central, Ari Shaffir's show. The first one, I told the story of Sparks getting bit in the face by the alligator. And the second one, I told the story of being a ball boy for the 1984 Baltimore Colts that never happened. And I told both of those stories at a strip club where they shot called Cheetahs. Rewind to back in the day when you were a bail bondsman and you hit me up. And tell everybody what you called me and proposed what to me.
Well, I was a bail bondsman in Baltimore for 18 years, maybe close to 18 years by the time I finished up. And I found some dude that lived out in LA, and I remember he was selling steroids out here, and I tracked him down to a club in LA. He was a bouncer there.
But you had to track him down because why? He skipped bail on you?
He jumped bail. Yeah, it was like $10,000 or something like that. But and I called you up, and I'm like, Ryan, I need your help, man. I just need you to see if you can see the students there. I think
you go, do you ever hear this club called Cheetahs? I'm like, yeah, I fucking know Cheetahs. It's a titty bar. I've been to a bunch. And I'm like, you're like, I think he works there. I'm like, all right, I'll go see if he's there. And then you had me go to FedEx and you faxed me a picture of him. And then you were like, look, this is an older picture. He could have gained weight, lost weight. He could have dyed his hair. He could have grew hairs. A million things that could have happened. But you got to find this fucking guy and just see if he's there. And then,
I actually deputized you.
You did. That's
it's not really deputizing. It's just saying that you're an agent extension of me, giving you the full rights from a Supreme Court law back in 1872 saying that you can go grab this dude. Yep.
I can do whatever I want to within the law for this guy. Like I could tackle him on the spot, tie him up, and throw him in the fucking car. which you then suggested and said, how about you do it and drive him back? I'm like, fuck no. You're like, I'll meet you in Colorado. I was like, Eric, this guy's going to be kicking my window. Like, if I was me, I'd kick your windows out and everything else. I'd choke you with my hand. I'd do anything I could to get out of that fucking car. I was like, you're like,
nunchucks.
How much were you offering me? You offered me some money. I was like, I don't need it that bad.
Oh, I was going to give you some money and then pay for.
And I was like, that's going to pay for the damage. Pay for the damage he caused to my car from the inside. So I hit up our buddy Jim Grindstaff, who you roomed with in college, and I was like, Jimmy.
Oh, Jimmy. I go, Jimmy G.
Here, this is kind of a win-win. I go, Snyder just called me and needs a little bit of help. We're going to help out an old friend. And in doing so, we get to hang out at a titty bar. He's like, I am there. So he comes up, and it couldn't have looked worse for us. You know, I'm dressed in my, Lefty's Pan Am jacket. He's coming right from work with khakis. His shirt's all tucked in and shit. He's driving a fucking minivan. I mean, we look like we're fucking out looking for somebody. And we sit at this bar and we're enjoying the titties over here, but we're looking. We're really looking. We're looking and we're looking. And Jimmy will tell you, we saw him. We saw that dude. And he saw us see him. And he ducked into this room where we kept seeing the strippers. We assumed that's where they went and did their, pay their money or whatever. It was a secure guy standing there, and he never came out of that room. He never came out. So we go outside. There's a back way. We're like, oh, this motherfucker ducked out the back. And then whatever happened to him? Did you ever get that guy?
No, but first of all, half the people that are in the strip club are wanted.
Oh,
the security, the bartenders. Oh yeah. I mean, you just go in there. Yeah, you just go in there and just run their ID.
I just drank my water with the lid on.
But after that, like you guys didn't see him again, so
never saw him.
I think I just paid that off.
And that shit was years between you asking me to do that and then me getting this is not happening the first time. Well, excuse me, it wasn't until the second time, which, I mean. Shit, we shot that years ago. It took them 2 years to air it, but I'm in Cheetahs the second time, and this guy's in there talking to me, and he's like, you ever been here before? I'm like, oh, I mean, I did. This is not happening already, but I used to come in here a shitload. I goes, matter of fact, one time, now I'm telling this guy, but right to my left over here is a guy in an office on a phone. And I say, yeah, a buddy of mine had me come here and stake this motherfucker out that was working here for a while at Skip Bale out of Maryland. And he goes, what'd you say? The guy in the other room's like, what'd you just say? And I knew right then I shouldn't have said what I just fucking said. It was one of those what'd you just says where you're like, I wish I didn't say what I just fucking said. And I said, yeah, my buddy. He's like, boom. He hangs up the call he's on. He dials a number and gets on with somebody else. And I was like, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. And I just went outside, stayed the fuck out.
And that was years later?
Dude, that was 2 years ago. And the guy kept mad dogging me the whole time. Like, I'm on stage doing my story and shit. And he's just over there looking. So I don't know who the fuck he was or what, but that dude was connected to them. I wonder if he was still there. I wonder.
Add that to your resume. Ryan Sickler was an official bounty hunter, deputized by me.
Goddamn right. I was a bounty hunter, bro.
I just sent a letter saying,
I'm in the new Mandalorian. I remember I had to go to FedEx over in Sherman Oaks, because back then it was FedEx Kinko's, and I got my deputization forms, and I was like, look at this shit. I can't even believe
fucking Lee Majors from Fall Guy.
But one of my other favorite stories, again, involving your bail bonds, is so absurd. So, obviously, if you're a fan of the HoneyDew at all, you know the story. My mother and I...
Let me look up the statutes of limitation on this next story. See if I'm in the clear.
Oh, yeah, look it up before I tell this one.
It's all right.
So, I did not have, obviously, a good relationship with my mother, Trudy, growing up.
Oh,
and I mean, we were estranged to say the least. But one time when I came home to visit, my younger brother Todd was like, he was living with her. What's up, Todd? And he goes, "Look, you don't have a car. You can take Mom's pickup. She had this Dodge Dakota pickup truck. Said, don't fuck it up. She's out of town. Don't fuck it." I'm like, "Thanks, man. I won't say shit, you know." So I hit you up because I want to see you and hang out. And you're like, why don't you come get me and you want to go run a bail with me real quick? And I'm like, yeah, okay. You're like, we're going to go to Baltimore City. I'm like, all right, you know, whatever. I've been to the city a bunch. Was not thinking the neighborhood we were going to, but I pick you up. And as I'm driving there are people in their cars going, how much you want for the truck, man? Because I forget it's got these for sale signs in it. I'm like, it's not for sale. And they're like, it is for sale, man. They're pointing at the for sale signs. I'm like, it's not for sale. Yes, it is,
White
man.
guys, Southwest Baltimore. I remember this.
Yes, it's so stupid. So we got to go pick this dude up. And then when I get there, I'm like, but I'm an idiot. I should have fucking asked what, and this also is before 9/11 because I had brought some Cali Bud back called Juicy Fruit and I had it with me. And I told you, I was like, I got some good shit called Juicy Fruit. Like, all right. So I pick you up and I'm like, so where are we going and who are we going to get?
Yeah, I had to pick up some money. The guy owed me some money. That's what it was.
Who was he?
Christ, Jesus, I don't remember his name. There's thousands of people.
But who was he in a hierarchy of
I would put him like not the kingpin, but like
Stringer Bell. He was.
Yeah.
He's Stringer.
We died in 2 weeks. He's right in there.
He's Stringer Bell.
He's a lieutenant.
I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? This is who I'm going to get right now. You're like, it's fine. It's fine. I'm like, Jesus Christ, Eric. So I remember we pull in. You're like, there he is right over there. And you yell his name and he fucking starts running. You're like, get him. And I'm like, what? We're chasing this motherfucker in my mom's truck. I'm not supposed to fuck up. Through Baltimore City streets, like little tiny, and those crazy streets where it's an alley, but there are homes in there. You know, we're flying, he's running, and then he ducks in, and he finally catches your eye, and he's like, oh, I thought you was my PO. So then he was all cool with you once he realized it was just bail bondsman, not his parole officer. And
I ain't one of my probation. Shit.
We had him running everywhere. So now he's not in his area, and he's like, hey, can you guys give me a lift home? And Eric says, yeah, hop in. And this motherfucker gets in the bed of my mother's pickup truck. Stringer Bells in the back.
There were two white rednecks with a black dude in the back of the freaking truck.
Stringer Bells. It says for sale. It's got for sale. In Baltimore City, he is sitting back there. I'm just looking over my shoulder, wishing we had a point of view camera because I'm like, the view of him he had his arms on. He was spread. He was loving life. It wasn't his parole officer. I was like, this motherfucker is enjoying this way too fucking much. We got Stringer Bell in the goddamn back, and he's like, take me to my house. So we take him to his house. Again, this is all very vivid to me. I've told this story. It looked like his sister, younger girls, black girl, watching TV. She saw us and she just fucking didn't say a word and just looked right back at that TV like, fuck.
The record stopped.
But we walked by the stairway that went up to the left because I will always case a room, and his mom starts screaming, seeing us, thinking we're there to arrest him. She comes running, and then once she saw you, she's like, oh, and again, this is a guy who's trying to free my son. She was so polite, so nice, whatever. We sit down with the guy. The guy doesn't have your money, but he's got some of it. And then you still blows me away. This guy owes you money, and you're like, my buddy's got some Cali weed called Juicy Fruit. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing right now? And he's like, Sholto. I'm like, I don't want to pull weed out in the fucking Stringer Bell's mom's house for Christ's sake. And I pulled this.
Called everybody.
You're right. He called all his fucking friends.
They got the chronic and shit.
He did. He called him, and then he was shirtless the whole time, by the way. He was shirtless the whole fucking time. The entire time. And he buys, I don't know, 20 or 40 bucks off of me, I think. I break him off. And then once he took it, I don't know if you remember, he smelled it and everything, and it was so good, he fucking took off and got out of there because he didn't want to share it with his friends that he had called to come over and fucking smoke. And now we're just sitting in the house. I'm like, can we please just fucking leave, dude? Because they're coming. You know what I mean? And he ain't going to be here, and I'm the one with the weed. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Oh, face hurts.
That shit was insane, dude. That was insane.
If my kids knew half the shit.
The whole time I'm in that house, like, we're going to get shot to death. We're going to get shot to death. Jesus Christ, dude.
I always felt safe in Baltimore, man. Be honest with you.
I know it's a bad city, but I'm with you. I never had a problem. I never really had a problem down there. But also, we don't look like the people you're going after. But these days, if you got your fucking head in your phone, you're an idiot. You're just going to be, you're an easy target these days.
Baltimore's a different beast now, but yeah,
it is. Well, dude, I love you so much. Thank you for coming on and doing this with me.
Love you too, man.
you know, you're more than an old friend, man. You're a brother for sure. And again, we've talked about a lot of stuff. Listen, you're definitely coming back and doing more episodes. I'm looking at the list. There's so much shit on here that we haven't even come close to covering yet.
You haven't even scratched the surface
no,
with me.
That's the truth, man.
Nah, that was good. Hey, we had a great time. I had a great time tonight, and growing up, man, it was awesome, man. It really was.
I'm so glad I did the work.
We are today.
If I didn't do that dumb sketch in 6th grade, I don't meet you. I probably don't even get into comedy. I mean, that dumb ass 6th grade sketch was a little bit of a tipping point. For sure.
I know talent. I know talent. Talent. In Baltimore, we don't say talent. We say talent.
Talent. It's talent. Yeah, he's got.
Oh, my fake headphones came off.
Well, dude, thank you for doing this. We'll be doing more. I love you. Tell Heather and everybody, send my best to your family, everybody, your gay dad, your mom, everybody, please.
You tell Tom I said, bikes.
I will, brother. We'll talk to you, man.
See you.
Thank you.
Love you, man.
Love you, too. All right, guys, that's our first episode down. We're going to be bringing them to you every week, man. The HoneyDew with y'all. Talk to y'all next week.